Let me tell you about the most dangerous sentence in personal finance. Dividends are passive income. Technically true, dangerously misleading, because the word passive makes your brain do something very specific. It skips the part where you build a $250,000 portfolio and jumps straight to the part where cash appears in your account every month for doing absolutely nothing. So people do what feels logical. They open a brokerage account, they dump in $2,000 or $5,000, they buy a stock with a fat dividend yield, and they wait. First dividend hits, $14.62. They stare at it. They check the math in their head. $14 monthly. That is $168 a year. For that to become $1,000 a month, they would need to multiply their investment by roughly 71. That is the moment, right there. The fantasy dies quietly and nobody's filming it. But here's what I want you to understand. That math is not a reason to quit. It is a reason to build differently. Today, I'm going to give you every number you need. The real capital requirement, the yield sweet spot, the traps that look like shortcuts, and the exact building sequence that gets you to $1,000 a month without gambling your principal on something that will blow up in your face. This is not motivational, it is mechanical. Let's get into it. Before I run a single number, let me tell you what I am. I am not a financial advisor, not a fund manager, not someone selling you a course about the 7 secrets of dividend investing. I am someone who got obsessed with the actual mechanics of this, who ran the spreadsheets that most finance content refuses to run because the answers make the dream look harder than the thumbnail promised. If that sounds useful to you, subscribe. It is genuinely the highest yield move you will make today. $0 in, honest math out. All right, let's build this. The number we are working toward is $1,000 a month. I am not picking that number randomly. It is the threshold where passive income stops being a hobby and starts changing real decisions. It covers a car payment, it covers groceries, it covers the gap between a salary you hate and a salary you can live with. It is the number that buys you options, even if it does not buy you total freedom. Now, the first translation you need to make, and most people never bother, is converting that monthly dream into the annual language of the market. $1,000 a month is $12,000 a year. That is your target. $12,000 in dividends deposited into your account every single year from assets you already own. And here's the only formula you need for the rest of this video. Required capital equals target income divided by dividend yield. That's it. The entire architecture of a dividend portfolio collapses into that one equation. Your job today is to understand every variable in it, because changing one number changes your life timeline by a decade. Let's run the formula with real numbers. A realistic dividend yield for a well-built portfolio of quality stocks, companies with consistent earnings, solid balance sheets, histories of paying and raising dividends, sits between 3 to 4%. Not 8%, not 10%, 3 to 4%. We'll come back to why that ceiling matters enormously. So, target income $12,000, yield 4%. $12,000 divided by 0.04 equals $300,000. $300,000. That's the price of $1,000 a month in dividends at a 4% yield. If you're more conservative and target a 3% yield, which is often the safer, more sustainable end of the range, the number climbs to $400,000. Let that sit for a second. Most people start this journey with $5,000, $10,000, maybe $20,000 and a feeling of momentum. They're doing the right thing. They're investing. But they're standing at the base of a mountain looking at a trail map with no scale bar. $300,000 is not close. It's not a few good years away for most people. It's a decade-long construction project. And the reason this hits hard isn't the math, it's the psychology of how we process numbers. When you buy shares, your brain anchors on the share price. You buy 50 shares of a company at $30 each, and you feel like you bought 50 things. Your brain counts the things, but your bank account only counts the yield. A stock at $30 with a 2% yield pays you 60 cents per share per year. You need to own 20,000 shares to generate $12,000 in annual income. 20,000 shares. Nobody tells you to think in shares to income. They tell you to think in percentages, which feel abstract, which is exactly why the reality lands so hard when you actually calculate it. So here's the protocol. Write down your portfolio's current value, divided by $300,000. That decimal, 0.04, 0.11, 0.23, is your progress percentage. You are not generating meaningful income yet. You are funding a machine. Your only job in the early stages is to make that percentage climb.
Now, here is where your brain starts negotiating. You look at $300,000 and your very reasonable instinct is to look for a way to shrink it, and the obvious lever is right there in the formula. If you raise the yield, the required capital drops. A 6% yield means you only need $200,000, an 8% yield, $150,000, 10%, just $120,000. And if you pull up any stock screener right now, you will find dozens of stocks yielding 9, 10, even 12%. They exist, the numbers are real, and you will feel like you have found the cheat code. You have not. You have found the trap. Here is what a high yield actually is. It is a ratio, annual dividend divided by share price, and that ratio can get very large in two ways. The dividend can go up, or the stock price can crash. Guess which one is happening when you see a 10% yield? A company whose stock was trading at $40 and paying $2 a year in dividends has a 5% yield. Now imagine that company has a terrible earnings report. Competition is eating its margins, debt is rising, the stock drops to $20. Same $2 dividend, now the yield is 10%. That 10% number on your screen is not an opportunity. It is the market screaming that something is broken. Thousands of institutional analysts, people with Bloomberg terminals and finance PhDs and access to information you will never see, have looked at this company and said, no thank you. The yield is high because the price is low because the risk is extreme. And here's what happens next almost every time. The company cannot sustain the payout. They are sending out more cash than they are earning, borrowing to keep the dividend alive, hoping conditions improve. They do not improve. The board cuts the dividend to zero. Now you have a stock paying nothing, and because the dividend was the only reason people held it, the price crashes further. You have lost income and principal simultaneously. I call this the double collapse. You went looking for more income and ended up with less of everything. The psychological mechanism here is what I call yield blindness. We focus on the percentage with the intensity that should be applied to the business underneath it. We see 10% and feel clever. We feel like we spotted something. The flattery is the trap. Wall Street is not missing 10% yields. They are avoiding them deliberately. The safe zone, the range where yield is high enough to be meaningful but stable enough to be reliable, is 3 to 5%. Companies in this range are typically mature, profitable, and consistently raising their dividends year over year. That last part matters. A dividend that grows beats inflation. A dividend that stays flat loses real value every year. You want raises, not just payments. Protocol. If a yield is more than double the S&P 500's current average yield, treat it as a warning light, not a green light. The boring middle is where the money lives. Let's talk about the argument I know is forming in the back of your head. You have heard, correctly, that the S&P 500 has delivered roughly 10% average annual returns over decades. You have heard that broad index funds beat most active managers. You have heard that the smart move is to just buy the whole market and stop overthinking it. All of that is true for wealth building. It is nearly useless for income generation. Here's why. The S&P 500's dividend yield right now hovers around 1.3% to 1.5%. That's because the index is dominated by companies like Nvidia, Amazon, and Alphabet, businesses that reinvest their profits into growth rather than paying them out to shareholders. These are phenomenal wealth-building assets. They are terrible income assets. Run the formula. Target income, $12,000. Yield, 1.5%. $12,000 divided by 0.15 equals $800,000. $800,000. To generate $1,000 a month solely from S&P 500 dividends, you need to be most of the way to $1 million. That is not a retirement account. That is nearly a fully funded retirement. Meanwhile, a dedicated dividend portfolio hits the same income target at $300,000. That's a $500,000 gap in required capital for the same monthly check. Now, and I want to be precise here because this matters, the S&P 500 is not wrong as a vehicle. In pure total return math, it may actually beat a dividend portfolio over 30 years because those growth companies are compounding internally rather than paying you taxable cash. If you are optimizing for net worth, total return index investing is a serious argument. But we are not optimizing for net worth. We are optimizing for income you can actually spend without selling shares. And for that specific job, yield density is what matters. You want the maximum income per dollar of capital deployed. The smart structure for most people is a hybrid. Keep a growth core, broad index funds doing the heavy lifting on long-term appreciation. Build a dividend satellite. High-quality dividend ETFs or individual dividend stocks layered on top, blending your overall yield upward. Split your portfolio 50-50, half in the S&P 500 at 1.5%, half in a dividend-focused fund at 4%. Your blended yield is 2.75%. Required capital to hit $12,000, $436,000, not $300,000, not $800,000. A workable middle. You don't have to be a purist in either direction. You have to be intentional about what each dollar is doing. Now, I want to tell you something that nobody in dividend investing content wants to tell you because it makes the whole thing sound harder than the chart looks. For the first several years, you are not a passive investor. You are an active saver who happens to own dividend stocks. Let me prove it. You start with zero, you invest $500 a month, solid, disciplined, better than 80% of people. Your portfolio yields 4%. After 12 months, your balance is around $6,200. Your annual dividend income is approximately $248. That's $20 a month. You set out to generate $1,000 a month and you are generating $20. This is not failure, this is physics. Compounding is not linear, it's exponential, which means it's nearly invisible at the beginning. Exponential curves are flat for a long time and then they are not, but the flat part lasts long enough to break most people's resolve. Here is where the crossover point happens, the specific moment where things change. Your portfolio becomes genuinely powerful when the money it generates per year exceeds the money you contribute per year. At $500 a month, you are contributing $6,000 annually. At a 4% yield, your portfolio needs to be $150,000 before dividends match your contributions. At $500 a month with consistent reinvestment, you reach $150,000 in approximately 13 years. For 13 years, you are the engine. Your paycheck is more powerful than your portfolio. Your discipline matters more than your stock selection. The dividend income is real, and it is compounding, but it's in the background, a quiet multiplier on top of what your own contributions are doing. This phase has a name. I call it the invisible years, and the people who make it through are not smarter investors, they are better systems builders. Here is the survival protocol. First, automate contributions. Not a calendar reminder, an automatic transfer scheduled for the day after your paycheck hits. Money that never enters your checking account cannot be spent on something else. Second, turn on DIRP, dividend reinvestment, at your broker. Every dividend immediately buys fractional shares. You never touch the cash. It never tempts you. Third, stop measuring your portfolio in dollars. Start measuring it in shares. When the market drops 15%, your dollar balance hurts, but if you are reinvesting dividends, your share count is accelerating. You are buying more shares at cheaper prices. Share count is the number that matters. Protect your attention accordingly. And fourth, check the account once a quarter, not once a week, not daily. Watching a growing portfolio daily is like watching paint dry while flinching every time a cloud passes. The check-in cadence is not laziness, it's discipline applied correctly.
There is one more leak in this plan that will cost you real money if you ignore it, and most dividend content skips it entirely because it requires you to admit the math is slightly worse than advertised. Dividends are taxable every year. Unlike a growth stock you hold and never sell, where taxes are deferred indefinitely, dividends force a tax event every single quarter, whether you spend the money or reinvest it. This is called tax drag, and it slows your compounding in a way that is completely invisible until you calculate it. Here is what that looks like in practice. Most U.S. corporations pay qualified dividends, taxed at capital gains rates, typically 15% for most investors. Manageable. On a $12,000 dividend income, you owe roughly $1,800 to the federal government. Your $1,000 a month becomes $850. But if you chased higher yields and ended up in REITs or BDCs, real estate investment trusts, business development companies, those pay non-qualified dividends, taxed as ordinary income. If you are in the 24% federal bracket and add a 5% state tax, you are surrendering nearly a third of every dollar. That 6% REIT yield is functionally a 4% yield after taxes. You thought you were building one portfolio, you were actually building a smaller one with extra steps. This is why account structure is not a footnote, it is load-bearing. The protocol is called asset location. It has two rules. Rule 1. Put your high-yield, tax-inefficient assets, REITs, BDCs, high-yield bond funds, inside tax-sheltered accounts like your IRA or 401k. Inside those walls, dividends compound without an annual tax bill. The growth is protected. Rule 2. Keep your qualified dividend payers, the mature blue-chip companies paying that 3 to 4%, in your taxable brokerage account. The tax rate is lower, so the drag is smaller. And these are the assets you might want to access before retirement age, so they should be in an account without withdrawal penalties. This structure, tax-efficient assets in taxable accounts, tax-inefficient assets in sheltered accounts, can preserve tens of thousands of dollars in compounding over a 20-year horizon, not from smarter stock picks, from smarter account architecture. Set the structure before you buy the assets. It is much harder to rearrange later. Here's the whole thing in one paragraph. $1,000 a month in dividends is real. It requires $300,000 invested at a 4% yield or $400,000 at a safer 3% yield. The only way to get to $300,000 without gambling is consistent contribution over a decade plus, automatic reinvestment, and the discipline to not torch your principal chasing the high-yield trap. The S&P 500 alone will not get you to $1,000 a month without $800,000 behind it. A hybrid structure bridges the gap. For the first 10 to 13 years, you are the engine, not the portfolio. And if you build this in the wrong accounts, the IRS quietly takes a cut of every compounding cycle. Structure first, contributions second, yield selection third. This is not fast, it is not viral, it's just math that works, applied consistently enough to matter. Now, comment below, what is your actual number? Not what sounds good. Run annual expenses times 25 and tell me your financial independence target. And more importantly, what is your current monthly contribution? That number, right now, is more important than any stock you have ever picked. If this gave you the real picture instead of the comfortable one, hit like. Not for me, because the algorithm will put this in front of someone who is about to move their entire retirement account into a 10% yield trap. You might actually save someone savings. See you in the next one.